Hello, fellow female activists. Today we are once again hitting up sleep and rest. Okay, that is our theme today, sleep and rest, or I should say better sleep and rest. Hi, Cathy Bettis, your wellness coach and fellow female activist. And we are back for another installment of how best, right, to create wellness for the fellow female activist here. So, as you may or may not know, if you're new here, we always start our video with a positive quotient repetition session, or PQ reps. So it's much like meditating. So you want to be in a safe space where you feel you can be, have your eyes closed if you wish. You can be relaxed. Hopefully you can be alone and not feel silly. So with that, obviously, if you're not able to, please do not close your eyes, but I will go ahead and close mine. This one's going to be fun. So, with that in mind, again, if only you feel safe, go ahead. And I want you to think about just your face and like your head area. Think about tensing that all up. Squint your eyes, scroll your face, squint up, make your jaw really tight. Okay, think about tightening up those blood vessels in your forehead. Really feel what that feels like just all that tenseness. All right, even your ears, can you make your ears tight? And then let it go and let it relax. Let all that tension float away. And now think about your hands. Make them into fists and really put a lot of tightness and tension in there. Really just feel it through your wrists, through your forearms, through your upper arms, through your shoulders. Really, really, really. And then let it go. Really feel the sensation of the release of all that tension. And when you are ready, blink your eyes open. That is what we call tensing PQ reps. That used to be not one of my favorite versions of PQing, but now I actually have learned to like it and appreciate it. It's different, but especially when you're ready to possibly get what you would call violent, it's a really good way to just calm way down really quickly. Okay. So I hope you appreciate that one. I know that for me, the reason why I didn't really appreciate it is because I always forgot to breathe when I was in these tension, okay, the tense and relax. I would forget literally to breathe. And so no wonder I was getting ready to pass out. But once you start to appreciate when this is useful, then you realize, okay, I don't have to hold my breath. If anything, it's easier to just breathe in and out your nose if you're using that tense and relax PQ route. But let me tell you, I've had a 12-minute session of tense and relax, and that was wild. Let me just say. So we are again talking about sleep and rest. Okay, so my fellow female activists, I know that you all can really use a lot more rest and a lot more sleep. But with that said, what I want to hit home today on is simply a way, okay, a strategy as to how you can figure out when you can get more sleep, okay, and even more rest if that's the case. What's the difference between rest and sleep? Well, resting is assuming that you're still conscious, right? That you're not completely in the sleep mode, okay? Just a really quick rundown. Sleeping, okay, is phenomenal. It's a third of your life, believe it or not. And in one sleep cycle, you have four different what you'd call progressions of sleep. Okay, so 4 stages of sleep. You go through between 3 and 4 if you're lucky of those stages. I'm sorry, of those cycles, sleep cycles, in any time that you're, in a long period of sleep. So what I want to hit home though today again is how can you get better sleep? all right? Too many of us, okay, me at one point included, did not respect sleep enough. Now, I've always been an early riser, which meant I technically didn't like to stay up late anyway, so I was always going to bed earlier than most people. And for a time, I always felt like, well, gosh, I'm missing out. And then I found out a lot more about what sleep is and how it rejuvenates us. When you experience insomnia, like I did, okay, so my journey started because of what became almost a week worth of insomnia, which was horrible. And knock on wood, wherever I can find it. Um, Only on occasion have I experienced that once or twice later on, but never like I did that week. And so again, I had never really been able to stay up really late, right? After I experienced a week of insomnia, never again did I ever torture myself and say, oh, why can't I stay up, with everyone else? When you cannot sleep, you then appreciate what sleep really does for you. Okay. So raise your hand if you put in the comments, have you dealt with insomnia? It's not fun, right? So today, what I want to touch on is one, the difference between rest and sleep. Like I already said, it's resting is, maybe you decide to read a book to wind down before you go to sleep. That I would prefer that versus you scrolling, okay, doom scrolling, right? Um, so rest is basically letting your body and your mind slow down, right? Yoga Nidra, okay, it's a form of meditation. It's a wonderful form of yoga as well. But Yoga Nidra is a wonderful example. Technically, you are not asleep in Yoga Nidra. Now, that doesn't mean that you might not nod off, okay? But Yoga Nidra means that you are still very much awake. And what's interesting is that it actually has the after effects, though, even if you do stay awake, of you having slept like for an hour. So it's wonderful. It is so restorative. So rest pretty much, in my view, just means that you're awake. Okay. Sleep, however, is pretty basic. It is when you are unconscious. Okay. And so sleep is imperative though. Okay. What we want to best understand right now is that we as females do require more sleep than the male counterparts. And that's not a dig on us. That's just human biology. We have more moving parts because we can create life. So we're super powerful, which means that we get to restore our bodies, okay, for a little bit longer. With that said, someone might be asking themselves, I can't even find time to go pee, let alone figure out how to get more than, say, 5, 6 hours of sleep. Well, guess what? If you can figure out how to save democracy and human rights, I know you can figure out a way to reverse engineer how you consider your sleep time. Okay. And this is no different. Okay. So the premise of today is helping you realize, how can I get in more sleep? So I have a whole sleep clinic that I can give, and that might be for another time. But understand this, that sleep hygiene is, while very useful and important, right? It is not as important as how you spend your waking hours thinking about sleep and then also preparing for sleep. What do you mean, Cathy? Okay, so sleep hygiene. Sleep hygiene is, okay, I'm going to get the blackout curtains. I'm going to make sure that I stop using any device, or at least use blue light blocking, right, glasses. That's sleep hygiene. Okay, those are ways, and they're useful. By all means, please use those tools and tricks and biohacks, so to speak. Excuse me, but that's sleep hygiene. All right, so that's helping you prepare for bed. It's awesome. I go for it. And as if not more important than sleep hygiene is actually how you spend your waking hours. Your autonomic nervous system, your ANS, okay, your autonomic nervous system is always working. Thank goodness it's supposed to. And that also includes the two parts, which is the sympathetic nervous system and your parasympathetic nervous system. So your sympathetic is equivalent to your fight or flight, okay, the alert system. And then the parasympathetic is the equivalent of your rest and digest, or your calm, okay, system. We want to believe it or not, more time than not during our waking hours be in our parasympathetic nervous system or our rest and digest. How can that be, Cathy? I'm awake. Absolutely. And guess what? The more that you're wired, for whatever reason, that's going to make it harder for you to go to sleep, even with the best sleep hygiene. I paused there for a reason because I want to say that again. In spite of all your wonderful sleep hygiene, if you if you are not prepping yourself for better sleep throughout your waking hours, then the sleep hygiene is kind of superficial. Okay. Again, I'm not saying that it's not helpful because it certainly is, but you could put yourself in a better position by giving yourself the opportunity to have your ANS less stress throughout your waking hours. That, my friends, is going to help you sleep a lot better and get the type of sleep that's going to be restorative. All right. So, what should you do and how can you reverse engineer, right, that sleep cycle? So, adding in sleep hygiene is useful. Okay. So, just don't discount that. But instead of buying a whole bunch of stuff, right? Because here in this channel, we're here about using inside out what God already gave us, what Mother Nature already offered us in birth is everything we need is inside of us. We want to be empowered from the inside out, right? So feel free if you want to get sleep hygiene, that's wonderful. But let's see if we can't use, for instance, our positive quotient repetitions, our PQ reps throughout the day so that we keep that stress level at a bare minimum, right? The less you are triggered throughout your the less you are triggered through your waking hours, the easier it's going to be to have more quality sleep. Your sleep hygiene will be elevated because of your ability to have a calmer process into your sleep hygiene, if that makes sense. Meaning your sleep hygiene will have more prominence and actually be more effective because of how you're preparing yourself for sleep throughout your waking hours. So if you can figure out, let's put it this way, pick one sleep hygiene hack, tool, tip, and then pick one way to hopefully keep your ANS at a lower minimum grade of stress throughout the day. So one, sleep hygiene. In this case, let's think about reverse engineering when you go to bed. Okay. What's the optimal bedtime you want? Then reverse engineer what you get to do so that you are, in fact, ready to go to bed at that time, at that preferred time. Okay. So that's one sleep hygiene tool or tip is pick the bedtime you want. Okay. Now, the next step is to then prime your body, prime your mind and your body for sleep at that time. And the way to do that is again through positive quotient repetitions, PQ reps, making sure that you are, believe it or not, staying hydrated. Okay. Because the more hydrated you are, right, that makes it easier for your body to fall asleep, believe it or not. I will repeat this because it's interesting enough to repeat at some later date, but this will be the first time saying it here. When we wake up after a long period of sleep, i.e., after your suggested 8 hours of sleep, guess how much water has actually evaporated from our bodies? Any ideas? 1 liter. Now, keep in mind, we have 4 pints of blood in our body at any one time, right? I mean, theoretically, we should. Okay. Well, when we are asleep, depending on how long we're sleeping, kind of depends too, but or makes a difference. But interesting enough, right? When we're asleep, our body is not totally at rest. Now, most of us is at rest, right? But this noggin here, it is going 500 miles an hour and it's cleaning out our system. To do that, to cleanse our body and refresh it for the next time we're awake, that takes energy. It takes the liquid from our body to help produce that effect, to flush out the toxins. Well, by the time we wake up, we have lost a liter of water. That is why you feel somewhat parched when you do wake up. So, what can we do throughout the day to keep ourselves hydrated, right? That then means our body is not so taxed when it's time to go to bed. Okay. So, again, pick one. So, in closing here, your call to action is pick one sleep hygiene tool tip that you want to focus on, right? And then pick one, what I would call more nervous system priority. What I mean is, so you have one sleep hygiene tip that you're going to work on, and you're going to pick something that is more geared towards how am I feeling throughout my day? How can I keep myself less stressed? Okay. Less triggered. What am I going to work on? And it could be PQ reps throughout your day, right? When am I going to try to get those PQ reps in so that then by the time I do get ready for bed, I am not still pissed off from what happened at 3 o'clock this afternoon with my coworker. I am not thinking about all the traffic that I had to deal with, right? Again, we're trying to find ways to keep our ANS, our autonomic nervous system, in parasympathetic mode more often. Okay. So by the time we get to bed, we're not, we're not in fight or flight. We're actually ready to slip into sleep. All right. So that's a tall order, but it's one that I know you can work on. No one's perfect. And feel free in the comments to let me know which tip you're going to, sleep hygiene tip you're going to try out. Okay. And then decide how that's going to look throughout your waking hours. Like how you're going to assist that sleep hygiene tip, right? Awesome. So with that, and if you're interested, feel free to hit me up and we can talk about working together. So I can definitely dive you further into the world of positive intelligence and PQ repping and make your life so much easier. But beyond that, thank you so much. Make sure you subscribe and like, and we will see you next time. Take care, take charge, God bless.